Hi friends, this is Yoga Light. This video is part of a series on yoga's 4 aims. We will examine surrender in the context of physical practices. Surrender in yoga is always part of our effort, surrender in action. It is easy to relate to personal effort, as with anything in life we have to put our time in. In physical practice, this means doing the physical work, usually on a mat, in a studio, and at home. We must learn the practice's foundations, alignment, sequencing, and breathing. As we practice, we aim to develop strength and flexibility, deepen and quicken our ability to relax, discover balance, and increase physical awareness, and use this to do more advanced practice. We learn concentration, persistence, and even just checking in with ourselves. In more subtle yoga, we feel and direct subtle energy, generate mindfulness, and see our interconnections between our body and our emotions, how our thinking process produces drama or insight, and how the breath can influence all the layers. There are also a host of deeper experiences that show us the world is not as it seems, and we are not what our knowledge of the external world has told us. We are more than we appear, and we can glimpse the greater existence of our being. In spiritual yoga, we seek, to put it simply, one of 3 aims. We either aim to dissolve into a peaceful eternal, or to have a relationship with the divine. The third possibility is that we seek to become an instrument of the Supreme. These can all be combined, as the peaceful eternal sits behind the divine manifestation, and we seek to serve the divine through our actions and becoming. With surrender, we start with motivation. We must see our motivation clearly and step back from egoistic aims and desires. This is not done in a day, and for a long time we may seek to know even what an egoistic aim is apart from some moral notion. Physical practice, when done skillfully, is a systematic way of discovery. This starts by introducing us to a tranquil state. We calm down the emotions and remove physical tension, and as we establish a smooth, rhythmical breath, insight arises. We establish a silent witness to the inner flow. The inner flow is whatever is happening in the mind. As we are able to step back and observe, the silent witness develops and can control our consciousness. It will give us a space to allow wisdom. One difficulty to overcome is our ideas about the practice. If we think too much about alignment, health benefits, and anatomy, or try to place ourselves into some box of scripture, such as the sutras, we will often gloss over the experience of calmness and insight. We won't be in the moment as observers, giving value to the silent witness. We need a measure of meditation and self-reflection. We are in a human form with a limited set of instruments, so thoughts and ideals must be the first guide with the aid of feeling through the heart. But we also have to open ourselves to a deeper source of knowledge and action, going beyond the externally focused senses. We need to recognize the flow of subtle forces moving through us. So one step is to surrender to peaceful calm, developing equanimity, and practice withdrawing from the senses so that we can abide in a receptive state. When we look into ourselves, our sense of self and our actions are a mix of competing movements from the different layers of our being. Our feelings about a situation can be affected based on whether we are hungry, or past situations can color our view based on mere association with someone's appearance. We may have adopted wrong ideas from our education or upbringing. We feel a variety of different pressures and wills that shape our choices and perceptions, and we have to sort through all the different voices that compete for our attention. Over time, we learn to identify ones that help us. Though mental examination is helpful, we need to find an inner recognition that is already a part of our nature. We find a deeper or higher wisdom that knows. We are surrendering to that higher or deeper aspect of ourselves, the one moving us towards a greater becoming and more intimate way of being. We surrender to that and allow it to shape us and our world. The second line of surrender is to the divine, leading our spiritual growth. This means all parts of the being, your body, emotions, and thoughts, should be given to the divine and open to its influence. Notice that our intention determines our perspective. We have a buddhi or intellect, but the thinking mind is not just thoughts, but also the knowledge, experiences, and training that go with them. For example, a real estate agent will look at a house and its surroundings quite differently from a prospective home buyer. Their view will depend on their intent. In yoga, for instance, thinking about anatomy brings up all sorts of perceptions. We see things in a certain way because of our ideas. We value or look for patterns because of our intention. If our intention is to align a posture and we do that from our knowledge of anatomy, then we will work from our mental map of the body and through the understanding of our skeletal system and the muscles and ligaments that radiate and connect. If our intention is to be open and receptive and feel through the body, we get a different view of what is experienced. For instance, energetic, subtle alignments and their influence on our state of consciousness. The practice can aim at raising the energy in the body through movement and posture, giving a feeling of lightness and enhanced clarity. We also have bhava, our mood. If we are in a class where we are constantly reminded to be mentally strong, to complement our physical strength, strong mind, strong body, so that we'll be ready for life, then our mood will turn to one where confidence and enduring struggle take hold. Where is the mind strength to be used? We can train to be lighthearted and keep a positive attitude. These are all good things. But this is no different from calisthenics, which is also a good thing. If our intention is to connect to the divine, our mood and perspective will follow. We can then surrender and allow what is needed to come through. It is never about a particular action. It is about the action flowing from a higher source. At times, our knowledge of anatomy and that concentration is needed. At other times, it is about maintaining the witness state. We want to develop calmness and a sense of non-attachment, of equality. This becomes a different kind of alignment, one that avoids personal preferences and mechanical habits of mind. We aim to bring our mind, mood, knowledge, and physical action into harmony. A common experience for beginners is to do deep relaxation and experience a surprising disruption, such as a loud noise. You notice that the loud noise doesn't disturb the calm, relaxed state. You don't react, you just witness it. We also notice that some days are different. Sometimes the practice is smooth and effortless, at other times it may be filled with restlessness, misalignments, and struggle. We may be fresh or tired, but over time and with effort, we learn to step back and watch the vicissitudes. The ups and downs are accepted. The witness remains as we notice, this is the way the practice is today. It is like this at this moment. Patience and acceptance go with the aim of progress. This is the basis for surrender. We have to discover a deeper motivation and set our intentions. Surrender involves personal effort, but the effort is towards our spiritual progress. This will change who we are. This can include other elements as part of it, such as being stronger or more flexible, but to gain spiritual growth, we have to surrender our egoistic aims and enter into something larger and wider. In any practice, there is some undertone of surrender. If we are aiming to gain flexibility, we have to surrender to the process, stretch and move, and put our time in. We want to engage consciously with the surrender to a spiritual process. You are looking for the divine within. As with other frameworks, for instance, you could aim to raise the kundalini, allow for the descent of higher consciousness, or separate our silent witness from our nature to let the soul arise. These things involve trust and faith. We have to recognize that these things are possible. Our motivation is to seek or aspire to the divine within and allow that action and experience to come through. We have to embody it. The physical practice becomes spiritual by opening, offering, and receiving. We give ourselves and offer the practice to something higher. This will let this come through the various layers and use the physical activity of postures and breath as a means. It is our gift to offer. As we seek and give, we will receive and find. Our personal effort is part of the gift, the present. Lighting a candle to indicate the presence of the divine is a common, simple, but profound act. It sets the mood, the bhava. It gives us an action, symbolic and physical. But the key is the quality of our intention, our aspiration. We may have to shift our awareness and concentration to different aspects during practice, but our intention is still to give, open, and surrender. Aim to do the best job, whatever that may be at the time, as a gift. In my family growing up, Christmas was a time for gift giving. Some members of my family found this very stressful and didn't want to give or receive anything, and they were generally negative about it. Others felt that it was an obligation, or it was a tradition. I had inherited all of these perspectives, but I changed as I progressed to two things. One was that I would aim to be open and that the right gift would be found. This became a very different adventure involving clearing my mind and recognizing the gift when it presented itself. The quality of the state of giving was essential, and I had a tradition that served me well. I had to pay attention to other family members and see what they wanted. I also trusted my inner sense of what would be well received. I looked forward to practicing. I expected good results and could learn by reflection when I failed. A second aspect was to look at my reactions while giving and receiving. Basically, it was not about me. When you are very sick, bedridden, and unable to take care of yourself, you will often experience the feeling of kindness from others. This can be very powerful. Even simple acts such as someone giving you a glass of water can be experienced this way. This is because we are very vulnerable and dependent. We feel good when we are helping. We can recognize and appreciate when we are giving someone an opportunity to help us. This can be more obvious when we are compromised, but even when our health and the world are good, we can still be open and give and receive because it is an internal state and not a set of conditions. You still need boundaries and common sense. There is a sincere feeling and there is dramatizing. But when you realize that your whole existence is a gift, and you see the work of grace glimpsed as a hidden hand, helping you to grow. When we love someone and want to express ourselves, we want to do something special, to give them a special experience and express our feelings, and to take it a step further to appreciate them and their feelings. Intimacy is a kind of shared experience where you and the other have an experience where part of it is togetherness. For instance, a memory of something meaningful to you both because you both experienced it together. The physical practice of yoga can be offered in this way. You are giving of yourself and your instrument of mind, body, and emotion to the higher or deeper consciousness, to your sense of the divine. Certain qualities emerge, such as gratitude and sincerity, even a love that knows no object. There is also a sense of adventure. You don't know where the road will take you. But as you open and recognize the divine influence, it is a discovery, and progress opens to new ways of being. Surrender is opening to the process. One has to give up old ways of being, and the surrender comes from action and effort. If one progresses enough, one can merely witness as the grace does the work and takes up your practice. It is not a particular action, but an offering. You still have to be involved in the action, aiming to do good alignment and maintain deep breathing and a meditative state, but the motivation shifts. You may not be focused on your motivation the whole time, but your intention should be set, and you have to practice to reaffirm your purpose and to be open for the divine, ready to receive. You want to be in communion. For some, this can bring up other influences. When I was young, part of my family's childcare system out in the country was our neighbors. They were fundamentalist Christians and would talk about things in relation to God. Even as a kid, I recognized that, in their case, there was always a sense of fear and needing to comply. It is like someone who can't show weakness or allow a family member to be seen doing something unseemly. There was always a fear of being judged. Their talk of the Lord had a level of sincerity, but it was also mixed with pretense and egoistic agendas, full of judgment and narrowness, not equality and openness. It was not the reflection that seeks truth and knowledge, but rather a measure against a creed. Humility is not fear, and righteousness is not built on finding the faults of others. Anything outside their religion was a threat. Their relationship was with a divine outside themselves and looking down, measuring their worthiness. Even though they talked about love, they were salt of the earth and good folk. We must overcome these associations by connecting to our feelings through wisdom and sincerity. We must reject fear and aim to see. A person's religion is their own, and of course their spiritual needs may make a particular faith or practice useful to them in this life. Through the long line of our past lives, we have no doubt been in many religions and faiths, or even progressed by the lack of them. For instance, the voice of the ancient Egyptian skeptics found in the Harper's songs. One day, I was lazy. I had been working with a martial arts friend and did a bow with a sloppy hand gesture, and my friend, from a different tradition, was suddenly very upset, as I had signaled that I was ready to fight with total disregard for his life. I asked him if he really felt that way, if he really thought that was happening, and if it was the case that I meant him harm in that way, why would I tell him so directly? There are differences between a discipline, a mechanical practice, and sincerity. One has to be willing to surrender any set of ideas. Moral ideas in particular can be a problem. One has to replace these with something superior, an inner knowing. One has to seek the wisdom within, to see the wider truth of being in all things. Things are not as they appear for good or evil, but the flow can be seen. Part of the being knows the wider consequences of all actions and sees the past, present, and future in an all-knowing vision. What we judge, we keep. We want to surrender and allow that to guide us. The world is a place for our evolution, and this can be difficult or easy. If we see the world as an interconnected web of being, as an aspect of a supreme creator within and being all, the guide and director, then our individual aims, which form our starting point, can be enlarged as our awareness expands. Much of our perceptual system is shaped and aimed at other people. Family and social connections involve many different parts of the being and form the basis of our motivations and our sense of self. You can relate to the divine in an impersonal way through spiritual philosophy and focus on impersonal types of realizations. The basis for most yoga is the silent witness. You can also use your human form and relate to the divine personality and focus on love, joy, bliss, divine personalities, and the qualities of being. The divine can be the creator, mentor, friend, family, lover, child, guide, or all of them. Physical practice gives us a time and place for aspiration. We can make it a devotional practice, which can help us extend our practice to the entire day and night, as our whole life can be offered, spiritualized, and taken up by the higher consciousness. We have to remember our aim. In asanas, we can look at three main themes. The first is the deep relaxation, yoga nidra at the end of practice. This involves going deep into physical relaxation. That initial process of learning to let go is an invaluable part of our surrender. In individual asanas, for instance, a standing hip opener like warrior can be done deeply to challenge the strength, and still, within the posture, there can be a relaxing into the alignment structure. The second is the degree to which a practice develops the silent witness so we can observe. The yoga that I practice has a lot of movement. Initially, you learn to move with alignment, becoming aware of the quality, and then you begin to direct the energy, but eventually you are simply watching the effect of the movement and energy flow. This leads to deeper awareness of the chakras and the subtle elements. When you are open and observing, knowledge, genuine feelings, and true purpose emerge. The third aspect is expressing the giving and offering, aspiring to connect to the divine. We can discover and give heart to the expression of the pose and movement. Many poses have a surrendered expression. Think of it as body language. Poses such as child or ones where we release into a forward bend. We surrender into the stretch. With the head movements, your gaze is directed inward as the head bows. We can reverse this and look up and out to something more. How the heart moves and is held can be a way of communicating. The deep breath can become like a candle. Awareness and deepening this expression can be felt as devotion. In the end, you will have a union of your intention within an action full of knowledge and feeling. The higher power will express, lift up, and transform you. If you get something out of this video, please hit the like and subscribe. Till next time.